Hello, this is Walker Physics, 4th edition. We're in Chapter 7 on work and kinetic energy, and this is number 39 in the end of the chapter questions. It takes 180 joules of work to compress a certain spring 0.1 meters. What's the force constant of the spring? Okay, so the force constant of a spring, remember, is based upon work. So you have work equals 1/2 times the force constant, that's the spring constant, times the square of how far you can squeeze that spring together or stretch it afar. Okay, so that's X's displacement. All right, so we know that this is 180, so there's 180 joules equals 1/2. We're going to solve for K, and we know that it goes in 0.15, and that's to the square. So we'll take 180, multiply it by 2, divided by 0.15 equals, divide again by 0.15 because it's squared, equals. And we get the force constant equals 16,000 newtons per meter. Okay, so this is A, 16,000. B, to compress the spring another 0.15 meters, does it take 180 joules, more than 180 joules, or less than 180 joules? Okay. Well, without doing the problem, I would just ask myself a question. Once I start squeezing a spring, does it get easier to squeeze or harder? The farther you go, is it harder to squeeze it, or is it easier to squeeze it? I would say it gets harder and harder and harder. The closer that spring gets together, the harder it is to push. So my guess is that it's going to be more than that, right? So we want to do a new problem. We don't know that it takes 180 joules, so we need to know how much work, how many joules does it take. So that you've already moved it 15 and you're going to move it another 15. So we need to do work again. Work equals 1/2 times the constant times 3, okay? And we already know that the K is 16,000. So this is 16,000, 0.3 squared, 1/2 equals what? All right, so 16,000 times 0.3 times 0.3 again, divided by 2, okay? So work equals 720 joules, all right? So we knew that it was 180 to start with, and now it's 720. Is that more than 180? Yes. Okay, how much more than 180? Well, 720 minus 180 equals, what is that, 540? 540 joules more. Okay, because the farther in you push, the harder it gets. Okay, it's a little bit givey at the end, but the farther it is, your spring gets tighter, tighter, tighter as it goes. That's how your shocks work on your car. Your shock is a spring, so it'll play very far up. But it's really hard to put that shock absorber all the way in to completely mash that spring together, and you want stiff shocks. Either if you drive on roads like we do, or you have a big truck like Cameron does, it'll allow you to not bang yourself to death. All right, so is that it? I think that's it. All right, thanks.